this week on Days of Our Mercedes. The Silver Arrows 2 weeks ago are coming off a solid result up in Austria, with Lewis Hamilton getting another podium for the season and continuing his second part of the year resurgence. Of course, during the time off, Hamilton, of course, going on his tirade about how the fans are mean to him because the fans simply don't like him. But during the off week, Lewis Hamilton would then comment about who the toughest driver he ever raced was and the hardest one he ever raced. Lewis chose a good choice by saying Fernando Alonso. Honestly, I don't see any lies detected here because Fernando has always raced Lewis hard and made Lewis's life a living hell. From the days those two had a McLaren to, last year in Hungary when Fernando defended like a lion to help Esteban Ocon get his first career win. So yeah, that's a pretty good choice. And of course, Lewis Hamilton has continued on his quest to have the F1 FI ban the fans from booing. And for Lewis's thing, he has gotten the support from nearly the entire paddock, as he's got multiple drivers in saying that FI should ban drivers ban fans for life, over the booing and abusive behavior. Lewis, if you really think this is going to work and stop fans from booing, you're an absolute fucking idiot. You're not gonna stop the fans from booing. If anything, that abusive quote-unquote abusive language or behavior they're giving you, this whole thing is just going to make it worse. If anything, it's just going to make it even louder than it was before. Let me just say this here. If the fans don't fucking like you, they don't fucking like you. Simple as that. Like, if the fans want to boo you or cheer for your demise, they will do it on their own fucking free will. Like, if anything, this just shows how much of a bitch Lewis Hamilton is. That he can't take how the crowd treats him. If anything, Lewis Hamilton should take notes from Denny Hamlin when Hamlin responded with his booing at Pocono by doing the go to sleep gesture. Hamilton fans, you see how Denny Hamlin handles the booing? Do that. See how Lewis Hamilton's handling it? Don't do that. Like, jeez. As the Peacock feathers for Hamilton continues on. And of course, Toto Wolff complained throughout much of the week saying that Red Bull's dominance could bore fans. Oh, now Toto Wolff wants to complain about drivers and teams winning all the time. Oh, now Toto wants to complain about a team dominating the sport. When yet, Toto Wolff didn't say a goddamn thing about Mercedes winning 8 constructor championships in a row. I guess it's only a problem if it's not his team. But when his team's dominating, all I hear from him are fucking crickets. So yeah, that's all the drama leading up to this weekend's race in France. So now with all that out of the way, we now head to France, to the Paul Ricard circuit, a track that has been very, very successful for Hamilton since the track returned in 2018. As in the three races they've run at the track since the return, Hamilton has won 2 of them. Hamilton, of course, was in position to win last year's race until he lost out on pit strategy. Of course, Hamilton had some speed this weekend, but it wasn't enough, though, to keep up with Red Bull and Ferrari. As off the start, Charles Leclerc would get the lead right off of Max Verstappen, and Leclerc would lead for much of the early parts of the race, until Max Verstappen would go for a super undercut pit strategy. And then during that time, Charles Leclerc would then have an incident. He would go Spinola and go straight into the wall, which would then lead to Charles Leclerc having some heavy breathing on the radio, until he yelled out, "No." Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't say, "I am stupid," once again. And then during that time, Ferrari would then continue to shoot themselves in the foot, as during that safety car incident, the field would pit and Carlos Sainz would come in the pit, and as he came out, he would come out dangerously ahead of Alex Albon, which would eventually lead to Carlos Sainz getting a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release on pit lane. Beep! During this time, after Leclerc crashed out, it cycled Max Verstappen to the lead, with Lewis Hamilton running second. But despite Hamilton's best efforts, it still wasn't enough to stop Verstappen. But meanwhile, the race would be for third, as the third place battle would be between Sergio Perez, George Russell, and Carlos Sainz. Despite having the 5-second penalty, Sainz still had a lot of speed in the car, and easily probably could have gone well over 5 seconds to keep the podium place. Until Ferrari would do something interesting. They would then sabotage Carlos Sainz's race by telling him he had to pit off a weird strategy call. And during this pit stop, Carlos Sainz would serve his 5-second time penalty. And Sainz was not in favor of this pit call. Honestly, Ferrari is a bad team that's being carried by high-end talent. Why the fuck did Ferrari pit Sainz? Sainz literally could have, those tires would have lasted to the end. And he could have easily would have been far enough ahead to keep third place. But with Sainz out, Sainz would have fallen back, but Sainz would battle back, but would end up 5th, as he could not catch back up to Perez and Russell in time. Meanwhile, Russell and Perez would battle it out for the third place spot. And then we get a late race virtual safety car off of Su Guan Yu, losing the engine, where nobody was able to pit in time. And just as the virtual safety car ended, George Russell would caught Sergio would catch Perez napping on the restart. And Russell, as soon as the green flag went, Russell hit the gas and got right past Sergio Perez as it went back green. And Perez could not catch up to Russell. And meanwhile, up front, Max Verstappen would go on and get his 7th win of the year. And for the 2nd year in a row, he gets the win down in Paul Ricard. And what could possibly be the last French Grand Prix for probably a while, since the French GP contract for Paul Ricard has now expired. Whether it's on the schedule next week is yet to be seen, but Verstappen gets his 7th win of the season. So Max Verstappen gets his 7th win and now has a massive stranglehold on the championship once again over Charles Leclerc and Perez, with Lewis Hamilton getting his best finish of the season, finishing in 2nd place. And for the first time this year, the Silver Arrows have gone a double podium finish, with George Russell finishing in P3. So both Mercedes cars get podium finishes. Most of it was due to the fact that Ferrari shot themselves in the foot, and Perez was caught napping on a restart. But hey, the Silver Arrows are respectable in their own goddamn right. As both teams, it seems like the Silver Arrows are making great progress, as it seems like they're still trying to get some momentum to try and catch Ferrari for 2nd in the Constructors' Championship, as we are now in the 2nd half of the season. Lewis Hamilton having the best finish of his season. Now the question is Sir Lewis Hamilton truly back or not? And just keep this in mind, this race was also Lewis Hamilton's 300th start in F1. Let me show you what happened to the last 5 drivers that I've had that hit that milestone. Of those 5, none of them won a race after 300 starts. Will Lewis Hamilton get one more win before it's over? Or will we see the beginning of the end of Lewis Hamilton's winless days? Just keep this in mind. This is the longest we've gone into an F1 season without Lewis Hamilton getting a win. Meanwhile, Verstappen, it's safe to say Verstappen's going to run away with this championship, and Red Bull's got this Constructors' Championship in the bag, as everyone else is battling for 2nd. Of course, we have one more race left until we hit the summer break, which next week for Hungary will be the days of our Mercedes mid-season finale. So whether Hamilton and the Silver Arrows are back or not, or if they're still way behind Red Bull and Ferrari, that is yet to be seen, but they are making progress. But like the sands in the hourglass, so too are the days of our Mercedes. Maybe Mercedes could actually win something if they weren't such fucking drama queens, especially with the fucking booing thing.